Today, we are lucky to have with us Mr. Anjan Dasgupta, partner at DSK Legal, who specializes, amongst other things, in infrastructure and energy project development, finance and M&A, public-private partnerships, government contracts, and public procurement. Mr. Anjan Dasgupta has been ranked as a leading lawyer in India and Asia by the likes of Chambers Global, Chambers Asia Pacific, and Legal 500. Today, we're here to have Mr. Dasgupta share some of his insights with regard to the transport sector. And without further ado, I'll start with the first question. What, according to you, have been some of the key highlight developments and announcements in the transport and logistics sectors in India?
Thanks, Gaurav. So basically, there are multiple aspects to this. Essentially, when we talk about the transportation sector, we primarily look at roads, ports, airports, and urban transportation. Obviously, there have been a lot of impetus given by the government in terms of roads, ports, airports, and traditionally that has been done for some time now. But urban transportation has also become the focus area for the government, and with a lot of these projects which are coming up under the PPP mode, the transportation sector itself as a whole has become a catalyst for the economic development of the country. So we can look into various PPP models which the government is looking at for basically development of the transportation sector.
Infrastructure development in India, especially transport infrastructure, has been undergoing a fundamental transition. PPP models have been key in achieving this rapid growth. How do you see the sector evolving? What reforms and policy initiatives are required to further catalyze the same?
Thanks, Gaurav. See, Government of India is committed to improving the level and quality of economic and social infrastructure services across the country. And in pursuance of this goal, the government envisages a substantial role for public-private partnership as a means to harness private sector investment and for operational efficiencies. India has already witnessed considerable growth in PPPs in the last, say, 1.5 decades. Today, India already has emerged as one of the leading PPP markets in the world. And this is due to multiple factors, and there have been not something which has happened overnight. There have been multiple policy and institutional initiatives which both the central government as well as the state governments have taken. For example, setting up of the PPP appraisal committee to streamline PPP proposals, establishing a transparent and competitive bidding process, then having extensive support through project development funds, viability gap funding, user charge reforms, provisions of long-term financing and refinancing, and more recently setting up the Infrastructure Finance Secretariat and the Capacity Building Commission. Also, if you look at it, PPP has become the main preferred mode for sectors such as highways, ports, airports. Also, it is now being extensively used for urban sector and social sector. But there has also been a current shift. See, the shift is the current mantra of the government is use public funds to build greenfield projects and bringing in private capital to monetize brownfield operational assets. This is what I call modified avatar of PPP, which is definitely helping in removing many of the initial risks which have actually traditionally plagued PPP development in India. Some of these recent models are like PPP TOT model, the InvITs model, the PPP lease model. You also have the National Monetisation Plan. Under this plan, for FY 22-23, around 1,62,422 crores which is going to be spent by the government. And primarily the focus is on roads, ports, airports, railways, warehousing, gas pipeline, power generation, transmission, mining projects, telecoms, urban and rural real estate projects to bring about affordable housing. The government has also come up with this national infrastructure pipeline, which again heavily relies on PPP for infrastructure development. Now, having said this, there are few things still needs to be done, and one of the key things which has happened is we need to have the independent PPP tribunal or regulator. We also need to focus on contract enforcement, which has always been an issue. Clarity in drafting of government contracts, a certainty of policy. We can't keep changing policy. We need to have a certainty in the policy because a lot of foreign investments come based on these policies. So we need to be cognizant of this. Removing delays which bring about delay in execution of arbitral awards. That has also become a very contentious issue against the government of India as well as various other governments in terms of getting good arbitral awards by the private sector, but execution being delayed. And then also one more critical thing is focusing on sustainability and environmental social governance issues. ESG issues has to be the new focus in infrastructure development as well.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Dasgupta, for sharing your insights and your expertise on the developments and announcements that we've seen over the course of the past year. And I'm sure there will be further announcements and developments in the coming year as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.